welcome to the New Earth channel with Benj and Gabby. Today we are jumping into the second part of our series on the chakra system, the sacral center. So Benj, let's give a bit of a run through of what the sacral center is.
Okay, so our sacral chakra is the second chakra in our energetic system. It is called the Svadhisthana, which is the Sanskrit name for it. The color is orange. And it symbolizes, our connection to our creativity, our emotional well-being, our sensuality, and passion.
This chakra point is located near the navel, where the belly button is, and for women, it's also well linked to our sacred womb. So let's start off with the physical signs of a blocked or stagnant sacral center.
So some physical signs that our sacral is imbalanced or is blocked in our energetic system can be things like anything to do in our lower body. So our large intestines, our spleen, our kidneys, our sexual organs. So, sexual dysfunction can be something that is represented. So anything like hypoglycemia, anemia, sciatica or lower back pain are also things that can represent physically in the body.
And as this chakra point is very much related to us women as a divine feminine essence, this chakra point is all about I feel, and it's very much linked to, as I mentioned before, the sacred womb, that we can experience issues with our menstrual cycles, period pains, the period flows. We can also experience issues around pregnancy and also menopause.
So Gab, what are some underactive signs of a sacral chakra?
So with the sacral chakra, we can hold a lot of fear here. And this is not just fear in regards to emotional fear or fear of commitment or fear of conflicts, but also with around money, around success, because this is very much linked with our creativity. We can hold a lot of our self-expression here as well. So fear is a big one that does come up with the sacral center.
So some other underactive signs are things like, because it's connected to our sensuality, our sexuality, can be like lack of libido or no sex drive. It can also represent not being able to regulate our emotions, being very detached to people in our life or our emotions as well.
And with this chakra point as well, we can also experience a lot of insecurities, particularly around ourselves. So for example, you may be experiencing difficulties in confronting your boss or your co-workers about something that you want to resolve in regards to conflict, or perhaps you are finding yourself putting up the walls in relationships, but it's hard for you to fully trust and dive into relationships because we do hold a lot of reservation, as we mentioned before, fear here. So with this chakra point, when it's inactive, we can experience a lot of issues in relationships within ourselves and also within action.
Yeah, another thing as well is not being in the flow of life or the things that life throws at us. And it's really, if our sacral is imbalanced, we're not going to be living our authentic life or being our authentic self.
Yes, because it is linked to the feminine energy. Sometimes when we are experiencing inactive flow of this chakra energy, we can find ourselves at times blocking off ourselves from receiving and giving in regards to how we feel. So we can at times become really moody and really imbalanced emotionally because we're not allowing ourselves to accept the emotions that are coming forward. We're kind of placing those walls up, we're placing that reservation of allowing ourselves to feel.
So Gab, now we're up to overactive. So what are some overactive signs that our sacral is unbalanced?
So with the sacral center, when it is overactive, we can find ourselves feeling too deeply, too emotional, not being able to put a grasp on our emotions, and also being a little bit dramatic. So feeling really overwhelmed and creating this drama in your life by feeding on drama.
Yeah, thriving off that whole, drama or, being involved in drama all the time.
Or toxic relationships, welcoming toxic relationships and feeding off that toxicity, whether that's in the workplace, in your relationships, or even just lifestyle.
Some other overactive signs are things like being anxious, being fearful can also be an overactive sign of a sacral. Yeah.
Very much with anxiety can definitely stem in the sacral center. And because fear is false evidence appearing real, when it comes to anxiety, we can place ourselves too far in the future and creating unrealistic or false evidence of things that haven't actually existed yet. And when we have an overactive sacral center that is overstimulated with high energy, low frequency emotions, we can find ourselves in a state of anxiety or fear.
Some other things are excessive emotional attachments. So this can be represented in relationships. Also things like sex addiction, you know, porn addiction even. These are all represented as a overactive sacral center.
A lot of ego comes from false sexual desire. And within the sacral center, because this is our ability to feel deeply, to feel vulnerable, to express our sexual freedoms. And if we are finding addictions in our, egotistical sexual pleasures, this can create a lot of issues for your energy around the sacral center.
Yeah, and I think it also, things like that actually block the creativity side of the sacral. You know, it stops us being in that flow and allowing that creative side to come out. If you think of, you know, when sports people have got a game, say football or something like that, they're not allowed to have any sexual contact with anybody for at least a week. And, you know, if you think about that, they're actually, they're rechanneling that energy through their creativity rather than their sexuality.
Yes. And as we know with porn, in terms of energies, it can be very ego-based, and it can actually create a lot of toxicity of the mind as well as the energy, because you're not really connecting with something that is authentic.
Yeah, it's not real. It gives us a false sense of what the art of lovemaking should be. Also how a body should look like too, because if you think of, you know, porn stars or whatever, they're paid a lot of money. You know, they'd have their own chefs, their own PTs, things like that. And majority of people do not look like that.
Exactly. And also with porn, something that I think is really important to note is that when we are connected deeply with our sacral center, particularly for women who are connected with their sacred womb, you are able to connect deeply to how you connect with your sexuality. And when we watch porn, sometimes we are forcing that, and we're not bringing that sexuality, that sexual pleasure from a pure source. In fact, we're forcing that energy through ego and through, as mentioned before, something that isn't necessarily real and authentic, and that can create blockages in itself.
It's addictive as well. You know, it works.
The intention behind it isn't always in a good place. So with our sacral center, we can find a lot of addictions around this because, again, we're not allowing ourselves to fully feel through a pure source of energy. So if this has been resonating with you, perhaps you've been experiencing these or you know someone that does, don't worry, because there are some ways that you can balance this out. And they're actually a lot easier than you think. So, Benj, let us share how to balance the sacral center.
When our sacral chakra is balanced, we are in the flow of life. We are connected to our emotions. We can regulate our emotions. We can tap into our creativity.
We're very passionate. So much passion comes through here.
Yeah, passion's a good one, yeah.
And when we really tap into that passion and that creativity and that feeling and expression, we find a lot of our life purpose. We find more fulfillment in our job. We find more purpose in our relationships. We feel more of purpose, and we feel that we have a lot more to contribute to life.
Yeah, you know, relationships are a big one when our sacral is balanced, because we attract the right relationships. They're emotionally balanced. You know, we discover new things as well. We're open to new things in relationships. The other thing it does, it helps us cultivate and be flexible, and also empowers us to move freely through our life.
With the sacral center, we can really adapt a lot more to situations with a lot more humility and gratitude. We're not feeling so caught up in our emotions and allowing them to overpower us in decisions that we make in the future.
So some tips on how to awaken our sacral. Gab, what are those? There's quite a few.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, the sacral center is the pinnacle point of our creativity. So get creative. Take this time to explore the arts, you know, whether that be painting, drawing, reading, writing, doing videos, you know, if you singing, yeah, you know, doing music or creating music. This is an opportunity to pour your creativity, your passions, and your self-expression into your art, into something tangible.
Yeah, I've been looking actually. A good example is, you know, like if you're a dancer, you know, you don't have to flail around the lounge room floor like a dead bird.
No.
You can do a hip hop class on YouTube for free. You know, there's so many things on YouTube that you can do, and it's really just about opening that creative expression within yourself and just going with it. You know,
that creative flow is so important. You know, things like singing in the shower, dancing whilst you're cooking dinner, having that creative, intuitive flow is so important, because you're not only moving energies in the body, but you're also allowing yourself to let go and just feel.
So some other things to awaken our sacral is connecting to water. So water is the element of the sacral chakra. You know, things like using our crystals, things like aromatherapy or using oil, sound therapies, yoga practice. Also, you know, obvious one is meditation daily as well. Yeah.
These are all really great ways to regulate your energy and also relax the emotions, really, especially with meditation and yoga. It's helping you kind of bring your emotions into a center point and helping you control them a little bit more.
Another thing to awaken our sacral chakra is actually color therapy. Now, I didn't mention this in our last video. So, you know, our sacral is orange. So it's about tuning into the color orange. Now, you can wear the color orange. You can look at the Svadhisthana symbol on a TV and meditate on it. You can wear an orange t-shirt, orange underwear, orange socks. It's just really about taking that awareness into the color orange and, you know, tuning into your sacral area.
And interesting enough, when you allow yourself to tap into your intuition a lot more, typically you'll find yourself more drawn to particular colors, which can actually indicate that that chakra point might need a little bit more love. So perhaps be a bit more mindful about the colors that you're choosing to wear, the color of foods that you're choosing to eat.
Yeah, food's another good one actually.
And ask yourself if it is linked to the chakra point that's perhaps underactive or overactive.
So like our last video, and being our lower chakras, anything that happens in our childhood can get lodged into our root, but also our sacral chakra. Things like abuse, particularly sexual abuse, can also, can be a big problem and be stored in our sacral area or center.
And because especially for women who have experienced any issues sexually, whether that's infertilities or as Benj mentioned, sexual abuse, this can also affect our sacral center and link into our sacred womb.
Things like miscarriage, sexual exploitation, sexual assault, these things can all be lodged in our sacral area or chakra.
If you are struggling or perhaps looking for more support around healing the sacral center, especially if you are experiencing some of the more intense or deeper issues, both Benj and I provide services both available in person and online that can help you.
So I'm an NLP practitioner, plus I also do Reiki energy healing. I do dabble in a little bit of numerology profiling as well.
I'm a holistic counsellor and spiritual therapist specialising in energy work, sacred womb healings, and helping individuals clear negative energies and entities from their bodies as well as their home spaces. If you are looking to reach out, and perhaps if any of our services resonate with you, do check out the information below in the description.
If you find value in our videos, please like, share and subscribe. Just click that little bell down below and stay tuned for more videos on the mind, body, soul. And next video, actually next week, is about the solar plexus chakra.
Very excited because we are stepping into that masculine energy. And if you are running a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're looking to start a new career path, stay tuned because this is a really good chakra point to talk about that.
Thank you. Love and light.